What's going on, everybody? It's Joe Giunta with Trend Trading Academy. I'm here to help you trade and get paid. I got a special one today again for you because I want to actually show you in real time what's going on the charts. You guys know I love to trade GA, and right now we just had a really nice head and shoulders that formed. It gave us a beautiful entry, gave us some nice pips on the 30-minute chart, and now it's actually playing into the next phase of chart patterns. So I'm going to show you how one pattern plays into the next pattern, and then I'm going to actually give you what we're actually looking at in real time, and then we're going to come back and examine it just to kind of see. I want to make sure that the YouTube fam is getting some really solid intel, some information to kind of see how to trade what we see on the charts. All right, so if this brings you a lot of value, if you understand something from this video, do me a favor and hit that like button, comment on it. Give me them fire emojis, maybe them, I love them strong arm emojis, them are dope. And go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell, get the notifications for when we're dropping content, because you know the content is always fire. All right, if you want to become a student, go to trendtrading.academy. You can see full length classes, trade setups, live classes, private video library, dynamic member community, people trading. It is awesome, awesome, awesome. So go to trendtrading.academy, become a student today. For now, guys, let's get to them charts.
Have faith in your mind, have faith in your grind, invest in yourself, transform in your time. Have faith in your mind, have faith in your grind, invest in yourself, transform in your time. Trade and get paid, 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 trade and get paid.
All right, guys, so let's jump right into it, and we're going to take a look at this GBP AUD 30-minute chart. And what we're actually going to look at is right here. We're going to do a little bit of back testing and kind of show you what happened here, and then I'm going to show you how to see it, as before it happened. So first of all, let's talk about this, the fact that many times one pattern plays into another pattern, right? So it's not always where a pattern just happens randomly or nothing like that. So a pattern generally happens as a formation of another pattern. So many times you'll see like a V spike right here. That's called a V pattern, which actually ended up being the shoulder of a head and shoulders pattern, right? So one pattern right here ends up kind of playing into a much larger pattern. So let's talk about this head and shoulders right here. This is very interesting, and here's how we trade it. So let's take a look at what happened here. You see where you look back, and we came from some nice movement up, and we had a drop. We had a V pattern here, which essentially acted as a rally base, and then we see a drop. So the interesting part of this here is that every pattern, right, ends up being a pattern within a pattern. So when you look at like a parallel channel here, you can, drop that right here, and you can see right here where we have this downtrend. We have this down movement right here, right? So you can highlight that. You can see that was it rose up, moved sideways, and then dropped. All right. So when you look at that in and of itself, it just looks like simple movement. However, what happens is, so that down movement comes to a V bottom, and you can see that you got a nice pin bar, pushes back up. Then you can see that same thing that happens back here, that rally base drop happens again right here. So we're looking at the 30-minute chart. If you were to look at that on the 15-minute chart, that would be a very pronounced pattern, right? So you have rally, base, drop, okay? So that small pattern that happens right here, rally, base, drop, is actually a much larger portion of where you have a shoulder and now a head forming. Well, watch this. That rally base drop becomes drop base rally. So really, it's all about where the banks are moving money. So, V pattern, rally base drop. The drop from the previous pattern becomes the drop base rally for the next pattern. It starts to move over, and then when you look back here, it's real simple. Watch this. When you mark this back here up, and you mark this right here up, look at this. You know where you started. You know where your left shoulder was formed. You got your head, which essentially becomes really a fake out. Rally or a drop base rally. Move sideways, comes in, retest the left shoulder. Okay. Now, what do we know? We know that V bottom also gave us, watch this, right? Gave us a neckline, right? So if we were to drag that out, let me kind of show that to you a little bit here. You drag that out, and you see you have a neckline. So you have the break, the head, second shoulder, and then look what ends up happening. As soon as you see that thing engulfing, it ends up coming right past your neckline and continues to go up. Now, what's funny about that is if you go back here, look at this. The bottom of your base over here gets a nice retest. The top of your base over here, look at this. That ends up being a nice profit target or a take profit. And so from here, literally, very, very simple. You have left shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, right shoulder, and a breakout. So you would take the trade right in here. It would come up, and if you take it right to here, you got a nice 67 pip trade on the 30-minute chart. Very, very easy, very, very nice, and no indicators, no nothing. All we really did was just look at where supply and demand is happening in the market. Drop. We get our nice little V pattern, setting our shoulder. Rally, base, drop. So the third wave or the drop becomes the first wave on the next pattern. Drop, base, rally, showing you this being the head. Comes up, gives us a second shoulder right here, and it takes off. Once we break the neckline, you can get in, and you take off. We got 67 pips. Beautiful, beautiful move right here. Now, here's the beauty of it. With that same thought process, with that same principle, let's see what's happening over here. We have a rise, and we have us a nice zone right here. So let's mark that up. All right, let's mark that up. Okay, let's come back down to here. You leave that line, leave that line. Why do I leave this line? Because notice that the previous area where price gathered, look what's happening. You have a left shoulder, it pushes up. Same patterns are happening. Rally, base, rally, pushes us up. Get a nice little drop here, no big deal, it's the pullback. And now it starts to drop. We get us a nice little W pattern, it pushes back up. What is that giving us, right? So now, when we look at that, look what we have here. That same area of consolidation before becomes the neckline for what could potentially be a second head and shoulders. Now you say, how can this be a head and shoulders when this one is higher? That's okay, because what happens many times is you have a little bit of abnormality in the market, or sometimes what ends up happening is they didn't gather enough liquidity on one side. So what they're going to do is they're actually going to grab it on the other side. So we end up with a shoulder, a head, a shoulder, and now it's pushing up. Now, here's the deal. We have some news that pushed up price right here. I'm looking at this in real time. We have some news. So all we're going to do is we're going to wait for the correction. We want to see, where does the correction end? I anticipate, not, of course, there's no guarantee. I don't know. But I anticipate that the correction is going to end somewhere in this level of structure. That we're going to see these red candles pull down into here somewhere before starting to develop some normality. Now, here's what we're going to do. It's very simple. If price, because we don't have any bias in the market, right? If price comes down and breaks this neckline, I'm going to enter the trade, and I'm going to take it to take profit 1, previous structure, take profit 2. Remember that same line that became our shoulders before becomes our 100% line for the next head and shoulders. So we would have a move, shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, shoulder, completion. Well, completion starts to become the first arm of the next one. The same way that we saw the drop from the first pattern become the drop for the second pattern. Well, the arm going up for the first pattern becomes the arm going up for the second pattern, if you could understand that. So we have arm, we have a shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, shoulder, and now we want to see after this news candle. Sometimes news prolongs the inevitable, but right now we're just going to see exactly what happens. News pushes it up. Let's see where the correction ends. And we could essentially have a drop base. Now you see this rally, but we do see also where you had, look, on the smaller time frame, if this is the 30 minute, if you were to look at this on the 15, you would have what? Shoulder, head, shoulder, down. So essentially you have another head and shoulders that forms the right shoulder of the overall bigger move. I don't want to confuse you. I don't want to do too much. But every pattern works within a pattern. So I'm just trying to help you understand that. So now we gathered some liquidity. News pushed us up. Let's see where the correction stops. Wherever correction stops, you can go see my correction cutoff strategy. We cut off the abnormality. We start where price wanted to be from the beginning, and now we go back to normal. So let's wait for this correction to happen. Let's see what happens next. If price breaks the neckline, we take the trade down. If price rejects the neckline or does not come back down to the neckline, then once it breaks the shoulders, then we have an opportunity to take a retest, break, retest, and up, and we could take a short-term trade to the top of the head. So here's the beautiful thing. We don't have bias. If we take the neckline break, look at this. We got 100 pips coming. If it doesn't break and it goes up, well, guess what? We might not got 100, but we got a nice little 35 pip move coming, nice little day trade. So, and then of course, if you look left, that could form new structure. You got trend lines in here. Now, I don't want to do too much in this video. I don't want to confuse you, but look at this. Wouldn't it be funny wouldn't it be interesting that when you're looking for a head and shoulders on the 30 minute, that we also look and we see that we have a nice trend line here? Well, that would be an interesting thing, because if it breaks the trend line, that would give us the neckline here. And now we have double confirmation. We have a trend line break, a retest, and then a push down showing us a neckline break. So multiple confirmations. Either way, we're happy. And now look what you have happening here. From the shoulder here and from the bottom up, you could essentially have a wedge forming. So either way, we're just looking at pattern after pattern. We're looking at price move, and we're just going to do what the price wants us to do. We're not going to have bias. We're going to take our bias out of the way, and we're going to let the market do what the market wants to do. That's how you trade a head and shoulders. That's how you have success in the market. And that's how you take all bias out of the way, making sure that you don't chase the market, but you let the market come to you. All right, guys, there you have it. I hope this video brought you a lot of value. You see how we saw that head and shoulders play out, right? And how all we were really using was supply and demand. No indicators, no fibs, no moving at nothing, no oscillators, no nothing. Very, very simple markups. We're not talking about having lines all over your chart. We're looking at a couple of simple lines, seeing where price is gathering. We can see where the banks are moving the money and then use those things to our benefit to project where price is gonna go. It's powerful. So we see how that played out with the drop, base, rally, drop, base, drop. It was really powerful. We see how those zones ended up showing us a head and shoulders that became a potential another head and shoulders, and we'll see how that plays out. No bias in the market, no one direction. We're not looking at one direction and just saying this is what's gonna happen. We take all of that risk out of the way and we simply say whatever the market wants to do, that's what we're gonna do, because we're not in control, the market makers are. So why fight against them? Let's let them do what they want to do and let's ride their wave. All right? So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You want to become a student, go to trendtrading.academy. And hey, remember, we hit that 50,000. Don't think I forgot you. I was just on vacation. But in the next video, I'm going to release and tell you guys about that big surprise I told you about. So we got some dope stuff coming. Go get your journal at tradeandgetpaid.com. Get your trading gear. Let's perfect the trade. For now, I'll see you in the next video.